How's it going, YouTube? It's Pilot Flame, and today we're going to be talking about Red Mage and what we can see from it coming in Final Fantasy XIV's next expansion, Shadowbringers. So, Red Mage is one of the jobs that everyone's had a lot of criticism about in terms of its, inability to be balanced around Verraise, mainly because Verraise is a super cool and useful utility going into a prog setting, but not very useful going into a farm or speed run style of setting, and unfortunately they have suffered from the inability to have synchronized raid buffs as well as any form of meaningful damage to whereas they would be useful otherwise than that. So what can we see from Red Mage coming into the next expansion? Well, more or less the same, honestly. To me, they got the least amount of changes out of everything. They got the least amount of things that make them, enhance the job or make them anything different from what they already are. So what are those changes? So we'll start off with all the new stuff that they got. So at level 72, basically you get an enhanced displacement, which just makes it 200 potency. Level 74, you get the trait enhanced magnification, which increases the damage dealt by 5% for magic damage. So there's a reason to sync this up properly over a trick window, so it increases your damage and amplifies it that much more, as well as it reduces the cooldown to 110 seconds, so I think it lines up a little bit better with how Embolden is basically utilized now, or how you would want to use it. So that's quite nice. I also forgot to mention that you also get an ability called Engagement at level 72 with that trait, which is basically the replacement for Displacement, as they share the same recast timer, but it is 50 potency less, so you are losing DPS if you don't have the ability to backflip. So if you do have the space and the time to be able to do the displacement, you should do it anytime you can. If not, if the arena is too small or you're in a position where you can't, then obviously you have engagement still there, and it will be refreshed every time you use magnification as well. At level 76, you get the ability Reprise, which is then upgraded to Enchanted Reprise if you have 10 of both black and white mana or more, which is a 300 potency ability that you can use from range. That's an instant cast. So if you're overcapping on mana and it's an intermittent phase, and you can kind of just, you have to do mechanics basically. You're not allowed to go into your melee combo during the time, and you would overcap on mana otherwise. It's a good ability to kind of utilize that. At level 78, the Red Mage receives a trait called Weapon Skill Mastery, which reduces Contra 6 recast timer to 35 seconds and increases the potency of both their Thunder and their Arrow to 120. Now, I'm not sure if this is the AoE versions or if these are the regular single target versions. I'm pretty sure it's the AoE ones where their Thunder and their Arrow are just, I guess they're going to give them a different name for being the AoE versions. And the AoE versions you receive at 18 and 22 respectively for Thunder and Arrow, which basically just deals 120 damage to all nearby targets and increases your black mana or white mana by 70 depending on which one you use. And at level 80 you receive the really cool looking cage-like black and white mana ability called Scorch, which is a 700 potency ability that combos off of Ver Holy or Ver Flare, which takes over the Jolt 2 action until you use it. It increases your black and white mana by 7, and it is an instant cast ability which basically just deals damage and just extends your Ver Flare and Ver Holy burst, I guess. So overall, not really much changing there, and in terms of abilities that more or less stayed the same. So Jolt still upgrades in the Jolt 2 later on, Ver Thunder, Ver Fire, Ver Stone, Ver Arrow, Ver Holy, Ver Flare, Ver Cure, Acceleration, Embolden, Magnification, all of your melee combo skills, your off GCDs, your dash and your backflip. They're all the same really. It's going to play exactly how Red Mage plays currently. There's no additions to the melee combo at all. The AoE combo requires less mana. I believe before it was 25 or 30 of each type of mana, whereas now it's only 20, which means you can use Enhanced Moulinet 5 times if you have a full stack of both mana parts. Embolden still being on a 2-minute cooldown. I feel like it could be on potentially a 1-minute cooldown with the reducing of the percentages as it goes down. I could easily see this being a 1-minute cooldown, whereas 10% for yourself, 5% for your party members on a 10-second duration. I feel like it'd be a lot better than what it is now. It just makes it a bit clunky. Whereas you want to use all your damage abilities at the beginning of this combo, or beginning of the duration rather, because of its tick down effect, that it gets less and less potent for you and your party members as the duration hits the max of 20 seconds. And the main topic here is that, you know, Verraise is still Verraise. You can still dual cast it. So obviously Red Mage is going to be super nice for prog, but a lot of the casters, obviously, they didn't want it that way. They wanted to have some restrictions so that they can go a little bit more innovative, a little bit more creative with Red Mage instead of just being Res Mage. It still costs 2400 MP, which is, you know, it's the same as all the other raises. So you basically, if you do 2 raises back to back, that you deplete half your mana pool instantly. And you know, with Red Mages only having access to Lucid Dreaming, I believe before they went like slightly mana negative. It was very marginal, so we'll have to see how the new MP costs work out in that regard. But it seems like it's going to be a little bit punishing if you use two raises. Yes, you can use them pretty much, you know, instantly, but apart from that, you know, you're still going to be suffering on MP if you raise, no matter what class you are. But I feel like they're going to be a little bit toned down in that regard, while still being able to just do what Red Mage did before, which is your basic melee combo. You want to balance your black and white mana to whereas one's just slightly edging the other one. And apart from that, it's not much else really I can say about Red Mage. Most of my other videos were around 10 minutes because there was a little bit more to talk. But in terms of what they got and what you can see from them, that's pretty much it. They're going to play exactly the same as what they have before. They still have dual cast. They can still res a bunch of people really quickly and potentially save a run. Whether their damage is going to be a little bit better, I'm not too sure about that. We'll have to see kind of how it plays out, especially with them having the having 2 rays in a prog setting, what their DPS is going to be like, and how the new manification enhances their damage, or how the ranged ability is going to help them with kind of intermittent phases. And the only other notable change really was that scatter upgrades into impact now. So impact's not something that it encompasses with Jolt 2. It is just basically scatter goes from the old scatter to a 220 potency AoE. So now it's just impact as far as I can tell, unless I'm reading the tooltip wrong for the trait. So when you log on as a level 70 Red Mage, you already have it. But that's going to do it for this video. Be sure to look out for the next video, which should be Summoner, which I'm very intrigued to dive into. So if you can leave a like, comment, and subscribe on the video, that would be much appreciated. We have plenty more of these on the channel and plenty more to come in the weeks leading up to the next expansion, which I'm super excited for. So it's a good night from me, and until then, take care.